What is up, guys? Welcome to Season 2, Episode 21 of the Elephant Wire Podcast, the very same show where we break down song lyrics and don't play you a damn second of the song because major labels are thieving babies that would sue us up the ass. This week's episode, we're dissecting the song Jolene by national treasure Dolly Parton. Let's get some.
Welcome to the Elephant Wire Podcast. Music, drugs, laughter, lyrics.
All right. Let's see if we can shake off some rust because we are not allowed to be rusty today. Not as long as we are talking about, as I said before, national treasure Dolly Parton. It is time to get exactly right back into the flow of things. Back as professional. Well, okay, let's try and be more professional than we were before. Because I had someone approach me not too long ago. And brought up the drug stories from concert goers like you episode and said something about, yeah, that was the first episode of your show that I listened to, and it was pretty rough to listen. You burped a lot. And I was like, yeah, I know. It was it was a lot of fun. But anyway, enough about that. It's time to be professional. It's time to show Dolly Parton and the song Jolene our utmost attention. But not quite yet, because it is the first episode of Season 2. We got the same shtick this season. Local band every episode. We got 20 episodes. However, this year I will say we're doing 2 episodes of Best Of. So there will be 2 different times, one with one gentleman, one with another gentleman. We'll get to them as we get a little closer to those dates. But we're doing 2 Best Of episodes. One of those we will be doing Best of Punk Rock. And I'm not talking about, Yellow Card. I'm talking about actual punk rock. I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch. Misfits and Sex Pistols and that kind of shit. And we're going to go through some lyrics from some awesome punk bands. And then we got a Best Of emo music. And that one will be a little closer to the Yellow Card genre. I don't know why I picked Yellow Card. They have a violinist that's fucking dope. But they're who I picked, so let's roll with it. Also this season, we're having Joe Baby back on the podcast. He's going to be on in a couple episodes. And we're also having Jason Perez back on to give us some great advice about being in a local band and things you can do as a local musician that will not only help your career, but will help you think more in the business mindset whenever it comes to your music career. As far as some other updates and tidbits, probably the 2 biggest things that happened during the little limbo area, because I hope you all checked out the interviews we did. I really want to thank our first interview was with Shihara. She was absolutely exceptional. Our second interview that we did, if I remember correctly, we interviewed Katanak, which our local band of the week this week, none other than, but we'll get to that. Then we interviewed Ali Skiba of Electric Cherry Record Store and Galleria and Tattoo Shop and Acupuncture and coasters and coffee mugs and slippers and whatever the fuck else you need. That was a fantastic episode. We had a great time with her. Then we sat down with Dirty Hippie Kyle, talked to him for a little bit. That was a good time. We were both super hungover, so it wasn't a very exciting episode. But, sometimes it's not all going to be gold. Sometimes you just got, sometimes you walk up to the plate and you get a single every now and again. But we were on base. Kyle and I made it to first base, so that's always good. And then we sat down with One Way Sky, solid young man out of Phoenix, Arizona on the Gila Indian Reservation, and talked about him and about being a role model and a light in his community. That was a lot of fun speaking to him. And then the last interview we did most recently, just a couple weeks ago, is when that one was released. Was with Cheer Up Dusty, great punk band out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They were the first local band spotlight we ever did on this show. The very first episode was Cheer Up Dusty was a local band spotlight. So it was good to sit down and talk to him during taco night and have a good time. And so if you haven't heard those, make sure to check those out. Those are fantastic episodes. They're on YouTube, they're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places. And then we also have the video up on IGTV. So if you're already on Instagram, just scrolling away, just bounce over to the page, see what's going on. But the two biggest things that happened during the in-between season is, one, we officially have a website now. TheElephantWire.com. It's .com. It's not even like a .net or dot penis or something weird like that. .io. It's a com. It's a .com. And maybe we'll start trading on the market. Maybe get some like Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency going or something. I don't know. We'll get to it. But yeah, we officially got a website, and it is great for all sorts of things. One, we have a store. So if you're ever interested in picking up some Elephant Wire merch, that's the place to do it. That is exactly where to do it. It's a great little store. We accept card. Yeah. I'm sure we accept PayPal too. I didn't really look a whole lot into it. But we got a store. It is a whole lot of fun. Stay up to date. We're going to be releasing new merch periodically, just as things come around, so stay on the lookout for that. And then the other fun thing that we got going on, the Elephant Wire officially has a phone number. That phone number can be called or texted anytime, and you can use it at your discretion. And if you don't have any discretion, then use it anyway, because that's kind of why it's fucking there, is to leave goofy-ass voicemails, to send us a picture of your broken leg after a skateboarding incident, all sorts of crazy shit. And probably a lot of the stuff that we get through that is going to end up on the internet in some way or another, whether your voicemail ends up in an episode or whatever it may be. Well, like I said, use it at your discretion, and if you don't have any discretion, even better. That is what it's all about. You can drunk dial us. You can call to complain. No dick pics, though, because that would be incredibly unsolicited. And nobody wants to see a picture of your dick. That's just fucking gross. Oh, it's so gross. I don't even send dick pics to my wife. What's she going to do with them? Don't do that. That's just life advice at that point. But I tell you what, it's about that time. Let's get into it. And before we really even go a step further, let's talk about how accomplished Dolly Parton actually is, because this shit is crazy, okay? It might seem like I'm rambling for a second here. However, I'm not rambling. I'm literally just listing how accomplished this woman is. Dolly Parton, the Record Industry Association of America has certified 25 of her singles or album releases as gold, platinum, or multi-platinum. 25 of them. She has 26 songs that have reached number one. It's a record for a female artist by far. She has 42 career top 10 country albums, which is a record for any artist, and 110 career charted singles over the past 40 years. 110 singles that have charted. It's out. Like there's musicians that in their lifetime they won't release 110 songs, and she's had 110 singles. That's absolutely absurd. All-inclusive sales of singles, albums, collaboration records, compilations, blah, 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 all the way down the list have topped 100 million records worldwide. She has earned 10 Grammy Awards and a total of 50 Grammy Award nominations, which is the second most nominations of any female artist in the history of the prestigious award. Obviously, first is Queen Bey, Beyonce. She is leading the charge, which, if that doesn't even make Beyonce that much more legit, I mean, for fuck's sake. It's Beyonce and then Dolly Parton. That's 1, 2. That's the punch. Whew. That's good. We continue on. At the American Music Awards, she has won 3 out of 18 nominations, which, okay, American Music Awards, a lot of times that gets, it's tough as a country musician to make it in there. I get it. And even a lot of times I would even say, I would prefer that they keep the country musicians out of it, but that's just me. I like good music, which is also why we're talking about Dolly Parton today, because it is good music. She's one of the best. At the Academy of Country Music, she has won 7 awards out of 39 nominations. That one seems like a slight. I mean, I wonder if it's one of those things when it gets to a certain point, it's like, look, how many times are we going to give her this award? We'll nominate her like every year. Because 39 nominations, that literally means that there's only been about 1 year where she was not nominated. She's won Country Music Association's highest honor, Entertainer of the Year. She's been nominated for 2 Academy Awards and a Tony Award. She was nominated for an Emmy Award for her appearance on a 1978 Cher television special. She was awarded a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She was inducted. Well, I don't know. I think you can interchange those. Introduced. Nothing's changed, folks. I still don't have a vocabulary, so that's good to know. She was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry in 1969. My dad was like 4 years old whenever she was inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. That's insane. In 1986, she was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. In 1999, she received country music's highest honor, an introduction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. She was recognized in the Guinness Book of World Records in 2018 for holding records for the most decades with the top 20 hit on the Billboard Hot Country Song Charts and most hits on a Billboard Hot Country Song Chart by a female artist. In 2021, a proposal by the Tennessee legislature, this is actually one of my favorite ones. I don't really know if I would call this an accolade. This is just a really fucking good story about her. In 2021, a proposal by the Tennessee legislature to erect a statue of her. She released a statement asking the legislature to remove the bill from consideration, and her quote was, "Given all that is going on in the world, I don't think putting me on a pedestal is appropriate at this time." God damn, what a class act. What a fucking class act right there. Are you going to tell me that in 2021, if Trump would have tried to put Third Eye Blind, like a statue of them in Washington, D.C., do you really think they would have had the fucking tact to be like, you know what? No, now's not the time. You know who did? Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton wrote the Tennessee legislature and said, yeah, there's a lot going on right now. This is not the time. I love that story so much. And this is on that same note, this is also one of my favorites about her as well, because it says more about Dolly Parton than really anything else in her career. She has a bronze sculpture in Sevierville? I don't know how to say it. Sevierville, Tennessee, which is where she's from. And she has called that statue of herself in her hometown her greatest honor because it came from people that knew her. Now, if that is not fucking adorable, I don't know what is. Dolly Parton, you are too much. Thank you so much. That you are too much. Now, I've listed a couple of them already, in like as we were going down through the accolades and everything, but I'm now going to list just her Hall of Fames that she's been inducted into. And they are in chronological order. 1986, the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. 1988, Small Town of America Hall of Fame. Also 1988, East Tennessee Hall of Fame. 1999, Country Music Hall of Fame. 2001, Are you serious? I just fucking burped. I did just have Indian food a little bit ago. God damn it. Okay, one more time. 2001, Songwriters Hall of Fame. 2003, Junior Achievement of East Tennessee Business Hall of Fame. 2006, the Americana Highway Hall of Fame. In 2007, Grammy Hall of Fame for I Will Always Love You. 2008, Blue Ridge Music Hall of Fame in the songwriter category. 2009, Gospel Music Hall of Fame. 2009, Music City Walk of Fame. 2010, Country Gospel Music Hall of Fame. 2014, Grammy Hall of Fame once again, this time for Jolene, her 1974 recording. How fun. 2014, the National Hall of Fame for Mountain Artisans. I bet that place is super cool. The National Hall of Fame for Mountain Artisans. There's got to be some cool shit in there. I wonder if they have the arm of that one dude that cut it off and then James Franco made a movie about it. He was kind of like a mountain artisan in a way. I wonder. 2016, the Happiness Hall of Fame, which apparently is a real place. And in 2019, the East Tennessee Writers Hall of Fame. Absolutely outstanding. One of the most accomplished people we have ever talked about on this podcast. I mean, trying to think of who else was this accomplished. Led Zeppelin had quite a list of accolades. Who else? Steve Winwood. He had all sorts of shit when you take into account all of his collaborations that he had. And there was, you know, I guess maybe Phil Collins and Philip Bailey. I mean, the two of them together, they were pretty fucking accomplished. I don't know. I mean, Jolene, Dolly Parton, it's tough to top that one. It's tough. But Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19th, 1946, meaning that she just celebrated her 75th birthday, and I forgot to get her something, and I feel like an asshole. Absolutely. But she's been pretty much a solo artist her entire career, from way back in the day being on television, and then going out on her own. The album that we're talking about today is titled Jolene. So the first single off that album was Jolene. It's kind of funny, like the song Bad Company by Bad Company off the album Bad Company. And guess what the first single was off that album? Bad Company. Except it's Jolene, and then Dolly Parton. It's a little different. Little different, but not too much different. But the album's titled Jolene. It was recorded on May 22nd, 1973, and then released in October of that same year. It is 2 minutes, 42 seconds of sweet, sweet bliss. And Dolly has actually been quoted as saying that it is by far her most covered song. And I just wanted to say, of all the people that have covered this song, of all the covers that I heard, I actually spent a day I didn't spend a day. I spent too long. I spent like 3 hours trying to find every single Jolene cover I possibly could. And there's a lot of really good ones out there by, people that just like have a YouTube channel where they cover songs, or, like a School of Rock, or a little kid singing it in a car seat or something like that. There's all sorts of those. However, of the professional musicians that have covered this song, my top three, we'll start at three, is Olivia Newton-John. She did a fantastic version of this song. Number two, if I don't mention her name, my wife will absolutely skin me alive, is Miley Cyrus. She did a fantastic job singing this song. It's crazy. The way Miley sings, I mean, her voice with that little bit of rasp, and then just the amount of heart that Miley sings with, she absolutely nailed it whenever she covered Jolene. But by far, my number one favorite cover of Jolene is by the White Stripes. Jack White, Meg White, absolutely murdered it. Absolutely murdered it. And Jack is just... when he sings live, he always goes for it. And I had the opportunity to see Jack White live, and he sings with a lot of heart and a lot of passion. But for some reason, when he covered this song, he was singing from somewhere else. He pulled something up out of the depths of his soul, and when he sang this one, he was getting some, absolutely. But as far as for the song itself, for the song Jolene, it is actually ranked number 217 on Rolling Stone magazine's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. 217. And like we've talked about before, this is a running list. Things move about, but as of 2004, whenever it was brought onto the list, it was at 217. We could sit here all day and say it deserved to be 210. Yeah, it's a really stupid conversation. That's for nerds that hang out in record stores. No offense, Ali Skiba. But in an interview on the Bobby Bones show in 2018, Dolly Parton revealed that she wrote Jolene on the same day that she wrote I Will Always Love You. Now, I don't know if this already is, but it should be forever known and referred to as the most productive songwriting day in human history. I Will Always Love You and Jolene, same goddamn day. Imagine waking up that morning, you make your pot of coffee, and you're like, I think I'm going to write a song. And you write one of them. And then you're like, I think I got another one in me. So you write the other one? Are you kidding me? I think that of all her accolades and all the goofy stories we could tell, I think that's one of the most interesting things we're going to learn this entire episode. Those are two huge hits. Absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. That's absolutely crazy. Whew. Too much. I mean, to break down the melody to this song, to break down it's simple. I'm trying to find the words that I want to use because I keep getting ready to say it's not impressive because the song as a whole is impressive. We wouldn't be sitting here on our asses talking about it right now if it wasn't impressive. It's a very impressive song, but as far as the melody of the song and the simplicity of it, do we even get into how catchy it is? If you hear someone say the name Jolene or reference the song Jolene, can you not help but go, Jolene, Jolene, Jolene? Can you, is it even possible? It is such a catchy tune. And I also love the fact, I have to say this, because a lot of times songs like this, they end up getting the Walgreens treatment. And by that I mean when you're in a Walmart or a Walgreens or a CVS or a gas station, oh, imagine that, Jolene's playing. It didn't get that treatment. And I think it's because people know better. You know, it's like whenever you hear a new song, you're like, wow, it's a really good song, and then you play it again. I don't know if you guys are like me, but before I get ready to play it a third time, I really, really think about it. Because if you listen to the same song 47 times in a matter of 3 days, now you can't fucking stand it. You burn yourself out on it. And I think as society, we've all gotten together subconsciously and went, okay, we can play a lot of Dolly Parton music in shitty stores. But Jolene? No. No, we're saving that one. That one's for specific times, for specific purposes, specific reasons. We're not giving her the shitty retail store treatment. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take him just because you can. Your beauty is beyond compare, with flaming locks of auburn hair, with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. Your smile is like a breath of spring, your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. He talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. And I can easily understand how you could easily take my man. But you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. You could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. He's the only one for me, Jolene. I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you. And whatever you decide to do, Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please don't take him, even though you can. How about that? Jolene. She sounds kind of hot. No, I was joking with a buddy of mine the other day, and I was telling him about. He asked me, he's like, "Oh, what's the first episode of season 2 gonna be?" And I was like, "Oh, we're doing Jolene." He's like, "You ever actually like really thought about the lyrics of that song?" I was like, "No, I've never done that." Which once we got that out of the way, but no, we actually started talking about it. He's like, "Dude, if you really like sit down and like start piecing it together, she sounds like a looker. She sounds pretty good looking." I was like, I know, and apparently Carl Dean. Dolly Parton's husband at the time also thought so, because the song was inspired by his bank clerk at the local branch. It was Dolly and Carl Dean were recently married, and apparently Carl Dean, after just getting married, was still keeping his options open. I mean, as this song goes on, at no point are we really gonna at no point are we really gonna lay into Jolene, because maybe the song is titled to her and really directed to her and about her in every way. But the fact of the matter is, Carl Dean is the asshole here, because the song starts with the chorus. The Jolene's, "I'm begging of you, please don't take my man." And like I said, I mean, it's inspired by the bank clerk. They had just gotten married. Please don't take him just because you can. This is a very interesting statement, because it can be taken a couple different ways. Either Jolene was that hot, like I was talking about with my buddy, or Carl was that much of a fucking asshole. I mean, these are the two options. And we want the best for Dolly Parton in both parameters. We don't want to see her get hurt. We want to see her succeed. We want to see her happy. They ended up getting divorced eventually, but that's, it wasn't about Jolene. It was probably some other broad that, Carl being just a big dumb jerk. But like I said, I mean, that's please don't take him just because you can. It's very funny. As we go into verse 1, your beauty is beyond compare with flaming locks of auburn hair. I'm actually colorblind. However, when I think auburn, I think like brown. I'm apparently way off on that. I'm sitting at like a desk right now, like an oak desk, and I would think that this is auburn, but at the same time, I mean, I didn't know I was colorblind until I was planning my wedding with my wife, and she informed me as we were going through books of flowers that I think you're colorblind, and so I took a test, and yeah, I failed it pretty miserably. I had no idea. I've been walking around looking at the world like a schnauzer. And there's so much color out there. So yeah, I mean, the flaming locks of auburn hair. To say flaming, that instantly makes me think of red hair. And like we know, it was inspired by a red-haired bank clerk. So yeah, flaming locks of auburn hair with ivory skin and eyes of emerald green. So red hair, super pale skin, green eyes. Her smile is like a breath of spring. I'm trying to figure out also, smile like a breath of spring. Like when you see him smile, you just like have the same feeling as like people have in like a Zest commercial. Like an Irish Spring soap commercial or something. Like their smile just makes you feel like you just ate an Altoid maybe. I don't know. It's got to be something remotely close to that. It's got to be close. Your voice is soft like summer rain, and I cannot compete with you, Jolene. Now, obviously, Dolly Parton is incredibly modest. She's insanely modest. Because Jolene was most certainly, in no way, shape, or form, in the compete category compared to Dolly Parton. Obviously. Now, this is us on the outside looking in. We have no idea how much of a big stupid idiot that Carl Dean was. Obviously, he was a pretty big stupid idiot. Because the very next line is, he talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jolene. We're going to need some more info on what's actually going on here, because talking about her in his sleep, and that when he calls your name, is he like in the middle of banging Dolly Parton, and he's like, oh, Jolene, Is that what's happening? Or is he literally yelling her name in his sleep? Because if that's the case, he is actually the biggest, dumbest idiot of all times. Carl. What a dumb idiot. Dolly keeps going, and I can easily understand how you could easily take my man, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. Now, I get that she loves her husband, and clearly, Carl is not about putting in the effort, although she does say easily twice, which I do find very interesting. It's almost like she feels like in a moment's notice, it could all be gone. Because she says, I can easily understand how you could easily take my man. Like she's hanging on by a thread already before Jolene even entered the picture. And now that Jolene's entered the picture, well, now literally it could just be up in smoke. Is the kind of the way that she's going about this. But she does say, but you don't know what he means to me, Jolene. Now this is an interesting situation where, we've all had that friend or that coworker or that, that acquaintance where we meet them. And then sometime down the road, we meet their significant other and go, what the fuck do you see in that? Like, that guy's a turd. That girl sucks. It's happened to all of us. And this is one of those situations where I'm standing on the outside looking in and going, he's talking about some other woman in his sleep. He's going to the bank and flirting with the teller. Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? But then Dolly says, but you don't know what he means to me. There it is. I don't know what he meant to her. I don't. Because it's also funny to think about what we learned a little bit ago in the fact that on the same day that she wrote Jolene, she also wrote the song, I Will Always Love You. So maybe they in the morning they had a fight and she wrote Jolene. And then later on in the afternoon they made up and went and got lunch. And then she wrote, I Will Always Love You. Once again, still the most productive songwriting day in all of human history. But we got another chorus here. The Jolenes, I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Please don't take him just because you can. It's such an interesting way of reverberating the information. Especially as she continues on with the song, you could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. He's the only one for me, Jolene. I know this feeling. This is a feeling I'm sure a lot of people have felt. If you've never felt this feeling, I am envious of you. It feels like your world could end. Now, as a married man, I have to be very careful in the way that I reverberate this information. But I've had relationships in the past where I felt like if it ended, if they dumped me, which they did, then my entire world would just come crashing down. And that would be the end of it. Now, I absolutely feel that way about my wife now. However, I've grown. I've learned. And this is where I say that I need to be very careful of how I reverberate this information. Because my wife is my entire world. And there's nothing that's going to change that. That being said, this feeling of you could have your choice of men, but I could never love again. I've definitely said that too. Who hasn't been dumped by someone and they're like, fuck it, I'm never loving again. It's the equivalent of being hungover and saying you're never drinking again. You're going to have a fucking beer within 12 hours, guaranteed. That's going to happen. In a relationship, I could never love again. You're going to rebound. Girls, you're gonna bang some douchebag. Guys, you're going to hook up with the first thing that says yes. And it's going to happen. You have to rebound. We're human beings. We need to be able to shed the layer of what we just had. It's very important. And she continues on, I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you and whatever you decide to do, Jolene. Now, we can have a conversation about how, a lot of things don't age well. And, to name a couple is, a couple songs that haven't aged well is, This Is a Man's World, or I don't know, Fat Bottom Girls. Are we throwing that one in there? I don't know. Thong Song. I don't know. We could sit here and talk about songs that haven't aged well all day. However, this song has not aged well in a completely different way. And again, as a married man, I don't see my wife ever taking a backseat to some woman trying to snatch me away. She would cut her dick off. I'm just saying that. And then she'd cut my dick off. And then she'd cut that bitch's tits off, like that one Eminem song. Which what is that one about, Dr. Dre? Meet Stan. I don't remember which one it is. But anyway, in this day and age, things are just a touch different from 1973. And today, if my wife and I were out at a restaurant or we were at the bank, who the fuck goes inside a bank anymore? But if my wife and I went inside the bank and the teller was blatantly hitting on me and I was reverberating that and being vain. I'm super vain, but usually it's whenever it's like a gay dude bartender. That's usually whenever I get super vain about, someone hitting on me in public. But if some girl was hitting on me in public blatantly, first of all, the back of my neck would catch on fire from my wife's eyeballs. And then my wife would speak up in some parameter about, you guys need a room or something like that. She would not sit there and take a back seat like this. I had to have this talk with you. My happiness depends on you and whatever you decide to do. Whatever Jolene decides to do. Now, we'll get to the whole being a homewrecker thing in a minute. We'll get to that. That's a whole separate conversation. Whatever Jolene decides to do, whatever Carl decides to do. Is he going to be a man? Is he going to be an adult? Is he going to be an actual human being? Is he going to love his wife and be honest to her? Or is he going to be a fucking turd? That's who it depends on. That's where her happiness lies. And I hate that this song, it has aged differently in that parameter as well. And at the same time, there are a lot of people out there that don't feel the same way. They don't, until you're actually married, that ring don't mean anything. I've heard plenty of dudes say that. They're the same dudes now that are saying, oh, you can't even compliment a woman anymore. Like, yeah. Yeah, because you used to go out every Friday night and compliment women. That was your end game, bud. It's, as much as things have changed, a lot of things have not. And I know there's a lot of people that fall into these categories and in these situations where a wife would take a backseat to a husband blatantly in public hitting on another woman, or that's just a work friend, you're just being jealous. It's a tough one. It is a tough one because my wife and I both. My wife has friends that are dudes. I have friends that are dudes too, but I have friends that are chicks as well. And it all comes from a place where my wife and I incredibly trust each other. We trust each other completely mainly because I'm scared shitless of my wife. And don't tell her, and it's okay because she doesn't actually listen to the podcast, so she'll never actually find out this information. But we close out the song with one last chorus. I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. Please don't take him even though you can. And the last point I want to hit on is let's put ourselves in the shoes of Jolene for a second. Now, let's even throw Jolene a bone here. Let's say that the first 15 times that Carl Dean came into the bank, take out some money or put in a check or whatever it may be, for all we know, the guy took his fucking wedding band off and started the whole thing. And then she started to feel a little schmoozed, and he was a smooth talker, and things started to move that direction. And then one day, she meets Dolly and goes, oh fuck. Now there's two ways that she can go here. She can either be on the side of, he's married, then never mind. No matter how I feel about the dude, no matter what has happened up until this point, he's married, I'm out. Super easy. Or she can view that as a challenge. And there are people out there, I've met them in my past, there are people out there that they literally view that as a challenge. Oh, they're dating someone? We'll see. I have never been able to even remotely be in that mindset. That is a tough one. And a lot of it stems from way, way, way back in the day when I was a little fella. And a family friend had cheated on his wife. And it was this whole big thing. And, it was, the family and, the name, it was just, it was too much. Everyone was in everybody's business. And you grow up in the fucking white suburbs of Chicago. Everybody's in everybody's business anyway. And then you throw something like that in the mix. It was a mess. But I remember I was young enough to not necessarily know what had happened, but I was old enough to figure that something had happened. And I remember saying something to my dad about, just blatantly asking him, like, what happened? My dad kind of explained, Like, I knew what marriage was. That made sense. But I didn't understand. He cheated on her. Like, I thought maybe, like, he, like, filed different taxes or something. Like, you have no idea. He told her they only had one car, and then he, like, had another car. Like, which I guess could be a form of cheating. It's a weird way to cheat on someone, but... So my dad walks me through it and explains the whole thing, and I was like, oh, that seems... Huh. And, like, it didn't really make sense in the moment. And I remember my dad making a statement to me whenever I was younger. When he made the statement, Jake, if you're man enough to cheat on someone, then you're man enough to tell the person that you're with that you're obviously not in love with them. And that statement has absolutely stuck with me my entire life. And I truly, truly believe that to this day. That once again, I've known plenty of dudes that can't even compliment a girl anymore, that feel that as a dude, they're allowed to bang anything with two legs. Or one leg. It could go any direction, really. But at the same time, if you truly are man enough to be a man and bang anything that moves, then you're fucking man enough to own up like an adult and be honest with the person that you're with and say, I actually am not in love with you. Because if you were in love with that person, then those thoughts are not even remotely in your head. It's... If we're taking anything away from these final thoughts, don't cheat on people and don't be a homewrecker. I mean, Carl Dean was married to Dolly Parton. There's a statue of her in Sevierville, Tennessee. A copper one. And he fucked it up. Carl Dean, you asshole. Don't cheat on people and don't be a homewrecker, even if you work at a bank. Especially if you work at a bank. Well, I don't know. It doesn't really matter what your vocation is. I guess you could be like a hotel attendant, and you could still be a homewrecker. I guess that's an option. But those are the final thoughts of the day. What a fantastic song! I love Jolene so much. Jump on the Spotify playlist if you haven't heard it in a while. We got the Spotify playlist still running, still killing it. This is the newest song on the playlist, Jolene by Dolly Parton from 1973. National treasure Dolly Parton. Super accomplished Dolly Parton. Love her too much. But enough about Dolly Parton. We've talked about her in full. It is now time for the local band spotlight. And this week, we have a very special treat. We not only have a good friend of ours on the podcast, Katanak, but we also have Joolz. Because we are featuring Katanak and Joolz based on a single release that just happened not too long ago, out May 7th. Their song Sunday. It is a fantastic track. You guys are going to love it. It is on the Local Bands That Don't Suck playlist on Spotify. Make sure to bounce over and check that out. The two of them is a collab between Australia's Katanak and Joolz, obviously, and they have created an indie pop banger. I believe that's what the kids are referring to, just a good jam. I think that's what they call those. Katanak and Joolz coming together was brought about by COVID. With gigs canceled and people looking around for projects, they came across each other via social media. Now how about that? Because that's how I met Katanak, is on social media. I mean, he lives in Australia, so it's not like we ran into each other at the gas station or something. But that first time writing together, they realized they worked really well together and liked what came out of the session. With Joolz' indie pop, R&B, electro, and hip-hop background, and Katanak's indie pop vibe, they set about combining the two styles. And it comes out very, very flawlessly. Sunday is the song. It is fantastic. We got a quote here by Katanak. He says, "Sunday is our ode to summer. The heat, the sun, the lazy days. You can hear it all in this track. When this track is playing, you just chill. Instant thoughts of grabbing a skateboard and catching up with friends run through your head. Now, isn't that exactly what you're looking for this Sunday?" A little bit more about Joolz. Gold Coast singer Joolz is a songwriter and performer, a genre-fluid artist featuring a mixed bag of feels consisting of indie pop, R&B, hip-hop. Disinterested in the formulaic, she will keep you tuning into her fresh sounds. Her contagious energy, saucy R&B flow. Her unapologetic style, drive, and hunger means she is a force to be reckoned with. I love it. Everybody, please bounce over to the local bands that don't suck playlist, if you will. Check out this song, Sunday, by Katanak and Joolz. It is a fantastic jam. Sunday, it's a great song. Absolutely great song. But this brings us to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. I'm so excited that season 2 is now off and running. It's been a solid wait. It's been a good time. It's been a good, just relaxing time. But it's time to get back at it. It's time to get some work done. It's time to start diving into some music lyrics. I'm so excited for where this season is going. You guys are going to have a blast with us. Support local music, guys. I say it every time. Support local music. It's a good time. We need it in our community. Support local music. Support local artists, just of all kinds. Artisans, mountain artisans, as we learned about earlier. But with all of that, if you like what we got here at the Elephant Wire Podcast, you feel free to support us too. You can support us in our store on our website, theelephantwire.com. You can support us at the anchor.fm/the Elephant Wire Podcast. You can be a monthly supporter there. Let's see. You can do all sorts of things, but probably the easiest way that you can help us is literally just by listening and telling people to listen as well. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We're everywhere. Give us a follow. Give us a listen. Give us a like. Give us an upvote. Whatever you got. We love you guys too much. Thank you for all the support so far. I am very excited about season 2. I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. So that brings us to the point where we always say, fuck the man. Hail Satan. Hug your mom. We'll see you guys next week.